Unless you have not noticed this, the most powerful thing in the world is an idea. And unless you have not noticed this, it's damned hard to come up with ideas. I've had to try and come up with ideas for over 50 years. It's very hard. So the smartest thing to do is to steal. Just steal. See where you can find ideas and copy them. I had a guy who wrote to me the other day about selling something like $5 million worth of insurance with a couple of emails. And you know what the emails were based on? They were based very, very closely on a letter which was written for the Wall Street Journal about 40 years ago. They were the same idea, simply adapted for this particular offering. I don't know whether you know how hard it is to sell insurance, but believe me, if you sell the amount of insurance these two letters have produced, you'd be a happy bunny. All started with stealing. So where should you steal from? Now let me tell you. I have a friend, you may be surprised to know, I've probably got 2 or 3. But this friend, a guy called Henry Newrick, knows more about marketing than I do. I'm not saying he's better at marketing than I am, I'm just saying he knows more. I interviewed him a few years ago in his offices, and I was astonished by the number of books he had there on marketing and business, and even more astonished to know that he'd read them all. And he's just come up with an idea that I think is really good, and it's a series of bumper books. Now you may think this is crazy, but I'm going to explain to you why it's not crazy at all with one example. What he's done is he's gone through the various media, the printed media, over the last 50 years, actually longer, 70, 80 years, and he's created books that reproduce advertisements in the various media, so that you can see what advertisements people have been running in these media over the years. And you may think, what use is that? Well, I will tell you what use it is by telling you a story. Most people in the direct marketing field, or most copywriters as well, recognise that perhaps the best direct marketing copywriter ever, other than the classic, the great names such as Caples and and Claude Hopkins, is a guy called Gary Halbert, whom I knew briefly. Gary's greatest coup, which may well have been the most profitable mailing ever written, which I think was pulling in $1 million a month, or an amazing amount of money. And Gary told this story of how he came across this little old lady selling family name histories for $2 a time, and then he wrote a mailing based on it. I received it, and people all over the world received it. His main problem, as far as I can make out, was counting the money, which I believe he started doing on his kitchen table. But here we are. Let's have a look at this advertisement from the December 1936 issue of Life magazine, a good 35 years before Gary launched this venture. And you can see where he may have got his idea from. Admittedly, he went about it in a different way, in a different medium, but it's just one example of the ideas that you can find in these books of Henry's. I really recommend them. I recommend them because today there is a fantastic opportunity for anybody who wants to work in print advertising, and the reason for that is that most people don't know how to do it. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 pages from his book that goes through back to the 1930s. Forget the fact that you think the layouts are childish or old-fashioned or not elegant and this, that and the other. Just read the copy, because I guarantee that you will find ideas here. Whatever you're selling, I guarantee you will find ideas here. Because a great many of these advertisements are either from people who are selling mail order, and therefore they're only running the advertisements if they worked, or they're from very, very competitive industries. And particularly, there are 1 or 2 ads. There's one here for Camel, believe it or not, cigarettes, which made me laugh. But at the same time, if you look at that advertisement, if you've got any imagination, you can see how in those days people used to focus in on a benefit, although in the case of camel, it's not necessarily a good benefit, and promote it effectively. Have a look.